Alright. Court is back in session. Uh-oh, but frames are being dropped. Horrifically. What happened? Oh, that's not good. As soon as I went to start the stream, it's like, no. No. Why? Fixed? It might be fixed. I did nothing, but I will take all the credit. So I was supposed to stream on Saturday, of course. Steam download? Steam shouldn't I mean, it probably does, without me asking it to. No, it's not downloading anything. I was supposed to stream Saturday, but was not feeling well. I woke up at like 7 o'clock, and then literally spent like 5 hours just like laying in bed and alternately either falling back asleep briefly or doing nothing. And then when time to stream rolled around, I was like, I am actually still tired and I'm just gonna go take a nap. And I'm late today because I hadn't eaten anything all day besides waffles and then snacks, and I was like, I should eat food. I should eat dinner. And I still have leftover pizza. So I was like, I'm gonna take my time, eat this pizza, not like scarf it down in order to start on time. So here we are. We're in court. We are just about to get testimony from Lasagna. Not testimony from Lasagna. No, the only lasagna which I could ask my mom to make some lasagna and go pick it up. But I'm not gonna make lasagna. That's a pie in the sky idea, and the pie is made of lasagna. Stay exactly where you are until Monday. If the crime had taken place as you so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? That's where the autopsy is. I mean, I guess, or it's just the the shot doesn't show that he was shot from behind, just that there is a bullet hole in his back. This explicitly says that he was shot in the back.
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of, "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Yeah, the inconsistency that they have been pantomiming him lunging at someone who is holding a gun and then being shot by them. So of course it would be from the front. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. Ah. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Yeah, good. But it's the God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windibank holding a gun? Yeah, something like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash, Nag, arg. Nag.
Order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once.
Well, the thing is, we weren't supposed to,
It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you.
Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
I was so sorry, Governor. Yeah, truth is, see, we,
Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we blab now, you know what you'll do to us.
He? Who were they talking about? I mean, if they weren't prompted to lie by the prosecutor, this would be the first game in the series where that did not happen. Every Phoenix Wright prosecutor gets witnesses to tell half-truths on the stand.
Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you.
Bruv, come on. The game's up.
But you have our guts for garters.
In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out.
On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
Well...
Do we have to?
On pain of death.
So we've gone from 5 to 10 perjuries is okay, is like a slap on the wrist, like a you knock it off you, and now perjury is punishable by death. Are we sure what this is still the Phoenix Wright universe?
I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth.
Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug.
Give me that gun, he bellowed, and he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it.
For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox.
It's Faded! Hello, Faded.
He chucked me over the counter.
I pulled the gun on him, and then he legged it through that door in the back room.
We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's what happened, we swear.
I don't believe them.
So now you're telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop.
Well, yeah, sorry.
Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, this time...
Oh, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. This is it, the moment I've been waiting for. And he's still on the stand. This is weird.
Hold it!
What is a gaff? When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windibank.
Oh, well, sorry, I mean, that's right.
We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. We never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbrokery's storeroom?
Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been.
The building? Alright. Never heard that word before.
So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises.
Which means Ginny must have been in there at that point as well. That doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windibank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Oh, I don't know.
The two Utes. What is a Ute?
Oh. I'm sorry.
Youths.
Did you see the accused at the time?
What, that
Whoa, language. No, I don't know what that is.
that mole tulip? Could I tell you?
No way, Cobble. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. Good evening, Blind. Again, sorry for starting stream late and for not streaming at all on Saturday. Wasn't feeling well. So... You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted those words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah.
Was the victim Mr. Windibank wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever blimey lummy? Great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at me frontispiece.
Wasn't feeling well on Saturday, and then ate pizza on Monday. Also ate pizza on every day in between, which is why I'm not really into pizza right now. There's only 2 slices left. I have to hurry up and eat those. So what you're saying is you definitely saw Mr. Windibank with the gun at that time. Is that right?
It is, Gulp, it is spot on.
Then all of a sudden he came at us, he did.
It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who.
You were clearly all going for each other.
Oh, like I said, I thought we'd had it. I mean...
Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too.
Well, yeah, of course we did.
He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot.
Oh, that got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked over those scales on the floor?
So, in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter? Well, Big Bruv here went flying over that counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. Then the old geezer pinned him.
He did, she did. If you hadn't been there, the book would have flattened me like a blooming pancake in seconds.
With some He-10 squishes in the chat.
At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim.
That's right. When the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Poor Mr. Windibank, he did everything he could to protect his shop. Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windibank? Nah, never. I was just, you know... looking out for me bruv, wasn't I? He was being flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes?
And then, the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away, then ran through that door and shut himself in. there's something about that last remark, something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Windibank ran away into the storeroom. What? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun. Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Windibank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door, in which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windibank's hands again? I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. But the point is, me and my bruv here...
Oh, that's right, Nash, that's right, me and my bruv here.
You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, did he?
Locked it was, from the inside.
We know it was, because we tried to open it.
But it's a decent door, that one, good and strong, wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person.
They said they never had nothing to do with it. We'll get them on a double negative. Going to jail.
The sole person who could have possibly shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Ugh!
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, Counsel?
I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could have possibly shot Mr. Windibank? Do I have... I mean, I'm gonna say there could have been. Because, of course. But do I have this right now? Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. What?
What's that look for?
From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend?
The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windibank, and it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all.
You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be?
Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of the two conundrums.
Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe? Fingers crossed?
Indeed. Namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim, and furthermore, where was the victim at the time?
Understood, my lord. Are you all right, Runo? I'm not entirely sure. But there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely.
So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun.
The defense believes the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here.
And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
Take that!
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom.
Continue.
Mr. Windibank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired?
So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom?
Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, I pulled my gun on him and he legged it through that door into the back room. If Mr. Windibank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time.
Ah!
It was at precisely that moment, when the victim was fleeing for his life, that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. Nag! Gug! Wait, but the door was locked from the inside, so he must have had to lock it. So we're gonna take a little while to get to the fact that there's a window. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial?
Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner, his report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself.
Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety. Ah, of course, he would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body at an upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windibank. You're not a coroner. You're not allowed to say that.
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock?
Ugh, but... What if someone else locked the door? Yes! There is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door.
Is that so?
Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside?
It was a ghost. It was the ghost of Mia Fey. Where is she? She's somewhere on here. Ghost of Mia Fey? Is that you? She looks different, but that's her. Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at that time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
That is absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room. For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck.
I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel?
Yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Are we still missing a gun? I don't think... Does their gun... I don't think their gun says that it was only fired once. Does it? Oh, nope. Okay. Only a single round was fired. And yeah, this should have only had one... Okay, yeah, again, signs of a single discharge. Wisteria feels as if they are thinking and have been flattened by a boulder falling from the ceiling. So yeah, I guess... Well, you never bring the witness on the stand, because anything that anyone says on the stand will include a contradiction, so you wind up calling him a liar. But yes, we are still missing a gun.
Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please.
But of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, Those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they?
Oh, yes! Falcon, obviously!
Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windibank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windibank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop, and left the storeroom.
Intruders, eh? Oh, that's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom.
Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windibank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom, and what we have to ask ourselves now is what would the defendant have done in that moment?
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it in order to save her own life. But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it.
We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one.
You shot Sherlock Holmes. Herlock Sholmes. Don't DMCA me. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would, because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder. Naggarg.
Where does this leave us?
You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They look shady as a dense forest.
That was amazing, Runo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. I know, first time ever. Probably the last. Well, I think you've done it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict of not...
An admirable effort, my learned friend.
What's this now? He's laughing? A man has been shot in his own pawn shop, and you're laughing?
You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zieks? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive.
Persuaded.
I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation.
Objection? They don't have bread and butter in Japan. They eat rice. But they do put chicanery on it. They put chicanery on rice.
But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot... Oh, wait. The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand.
He poured it. He poured it just now.
Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw?
Do you mean to tell me that you are unaware of your logic's failing?
I say, Lord Van Zieks might be an idea to explain this ballet conjuring trick or whatever it is to troops on the ground,
The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets!
We've been had by the count. Oh, we've done it now. We've awakened his true power. He's gonna unleash his final form on us.
My George, count bullets?
Oh dear. He noticed then. Huh? What's everyone talking about?
Counsel,
Yes, sir?
tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime?
Two. 2 bullets.
Correct. The first, which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, and his arrival at the scene.
Count Bullets. No, it's Count Von Z.
Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar.
Oh, wait a sec. Hold on. So, no. Yeah, why was I saying 3? 3 shots. The 3 blood stains that we have, one of the blood stains is from what's-his-name dying 2 months earlier. There were only 2 shots fired. One that hit Holmes and hit the calendar. The other one killed the shopkeeper. And we have 2 guns. So yeah, it's not that there's a missing bullet, it's that it seems as if each gun was used to fire 1 shot.
Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are two firearms involved in the incident.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was shot in the... That's how we detected that, and it was his blood on the calendar, because the bullet went through him, hit the calendar, and the blood splattered on the wall.
The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun.
Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each.
Now then, my learned friend, you yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes.
Yes! Falcon concur! Oh my goodness, I think you'll find
That if the single bullet was fired from the brother's gun to hit Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Windybank, not shot by same gun. Stop. Only 1 bullet. Stop. It is also possible, though, that Windybank's gun was fired and we've never found that bullet, and he was actually shot and killed by a different gun. For example, one belonging to Mr. In Charge Chief Justice.
Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny.
Ugh. Ooh-arg! Ooh-arg!
Order!
Count it! Ever is here. Ever is here just in time to catch the wine bottle.
Pray forgive the Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery.
Lord Van Zeeks, did you just throw a wine bottle? What are you doing?
But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can regrettably no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct.
Objection? Relevance? Object to that? My God, he calls himself a lawyer.
The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present.
That disc! He didn't count the eyes. I would've. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Yes, that music box disc. McGilded's music box disc.
The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Winterbank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence.
Good gracious!
I've definitely been putting more into the voice acting for this game than I usually do for other games that I wind up reading aloud. Even the other Phoenix Wright games, it's just been so enjoyable to voice some of these people.
Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her year. On account!
Well, he didn't mean to. No, he did mean to count her years. Count the years and then disregard them, is what he said.
Is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril.
I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character.
That was his voice? That was his hold it? He sounded like he was 5.
Lord Van Zieks,
Inspector Gregson? What?
Yes, Inspector.
We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence.
What's all this about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zieks at all.
I am unaware of any such meeting.
But those were the instructions, right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent.
Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord.
Indeed. Bailiff.
Used to play music in mechanical music box. On the reverse side is a note. It reads, "For McGilded." So this we have not had the opportunity to spray yet and see whose blood is on it.
The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case.
I don't believe it, but I am going to inspect the disc. Oh, Bruno, look, this is blood. Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Then it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash. I forget who's green. I think that's Mason. A lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? Oh, it does say that it seems to be okay now. But, yes, I was apparently dropping frames. Again. Strange. Okay, blood samples portfolio has been updated, so I will go check that. I'll also take a look at this. For McGilded, that's the man you defended in court a couple of months ago, isn't it, Runo? Yes, or rather mistakenly defended. I wonder what his name is doing on the back of this disc. It's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. Stop. Drop. Dropping the frames on Twitch. Oh, so this is going to be Sholmes's blood? That's curious. Or it means this is someone else's blood? Did Sholmes fake being shot? Like, including going to the hospital and everything, just to lend credence to the ruse? I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes. Oh dear. It wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo.
My lord, I wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling in a bit of a fog up to now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden, the answer's barely obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it.
Oh, no!
Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
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 Oh no, it's the Street Fighter 6 teaser trailer all over again. Just Hadoukens from hell to breakfast.
We have a consensus among the jury, it seems.
Yeah, I've already... I did pick up on that right away, to be like... Even if you were like, oh, this reacts and, gives a color. It's like, that really does absolutely nothing to prove that two of the... It'll certainly, I guess, if it's real science, which we don't even know, she could be making this shit up, that it could prove these two bloodstains are not the same person, but it really would not prove these two bloodstains are definitely the same person, because it could be two people whose blood makes the same color when you spray it with a magical gas grenade.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Wait, that's from Danganronpa. No. That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Right, it was from Sherlock Holmes. Arg, how dare he use it against us? Don't worry. Right, in the same way that blood types could go like, hey, this is type B and this is type B. So it could be the same person, but certainly not definitive. Don't worry, Iris, I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing I'm absolutely certain of, and that's that we're going to use the newspaper at some point that says something about government secrets being leaked to foreign agencies. And Gina didn't shoot Mr. Winterbank. That's beyond any doubt.
Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garradum Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns.
It would seem there's little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black, but when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more.
Ugh, the whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair. Iris? That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Ginny's done some things she shouldn't have in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Make her the lawyer! She knows how to object based on relevance. There it is.
Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter.
He's telling us we ain't got no grapes. He's like, I got more grapes in this cup than you got grapes in your whole body.
Here's to the truth coming out eventually.
That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord. Anything from pressing here? Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder. Is that what you're saying?
Well.
Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? Whoa, racist shoes on the other foot now.
I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world?
No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. And if you could also stop saying things about the Japanese, I would super appreciate that as well.
Wow, yes, ma'am. Point there, I suppose. Let's not forget the girl has already shown she had it in her from before. Clearly a criminal soul through and through. Can't deny it.
When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this?
Exactly. You tried to swipe that only a day earlier, or am I mistaken?
Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. Yeah, the whole looking out at the whole world history for the past several centuries. Little bit of British Empire doing a whole "we're going to rule the world" kind of thing. A little bit, just a touch. I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it. Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays, though, do we? US also a bit, more recently, for less time. But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. McGilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps I already examined it in more detail. Yeah, current events. Current events. With Russia. Which I actually don't read the news all that much, but I know something's going on. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced? Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, it's logical, I suppose. Although... Yes? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. A 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene, could that be possible? Do we actually... Hold on. I don't remember if they said that they were removing a bullet from Sholmes or not. This might be something that we'll find out later. I don't think we have this information yet. Find the bullet. No, we'll just load the crime scene onto the omnibus and drive it through the court doors. The dog! The dog ate the bullet. Yeah, I guess we don't... I don't think we have anything that says that whether or not there was a bullet in Sholmes. I'll have to think about it. Or maybe somebody else, if it is necessary for us to have that evidence, maybe somebody else will mention it. Only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. Yes, I know. Right. And I don't imagine the good man of Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well, I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. Also a spanking. And he should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. It sounds like a crime scene to me. A 3rd bullet. It would completely, Gakten the whole Saibon if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere? Oh, I'm also down to 1 life. Let's not forget that. Should I make a safety save? We don't actually know what happens if we get a game over. It might be like the other one where they just start you off right where you were with 5 health.
Hold it!
Oh, I just realized talking to the doctor where he's like, oh, he's finally gonna say like, oh, I left my scalpel inside of that body. Oh, it reminds me, sometimes bullets get left inside of bodies, just like Sherlock. So if I've understood correctly, you need 2 pictures, a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly, then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions. Like this. So if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find, no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Oh, get a game over on purpose so we experience it? Like, it's so routine in Phoenix Wright games. Like, every Phoenix Wright game uses basically the exact same wording. Where they go, enough, like, this trial has gone on long enough. The evidence that proves the... Like, no matter what case it is, they just go, you know, the evidence is clear. I hereby declare the defendant guilty. It's like it never changes, no matter which game you're playing or what case it is. I might though. We'll see. I'll take a dive, perhaps. If I get a game over, it was on purpose. Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? It was a waste of time. Not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Here we go.
Hold it!
Tell me about bodies with bullets in them. The miracle never Okay. That one you don't get by running out of health though, but that is a good point. There is a special game over in 3? 2? I think it's 2. Yeah, the second Phoenix Wright game, the last case, there is a question where if you give the wrong answer, you get the bad ending, which includes the typo, the miracle never happened. I guess there is that. That would be interesting for them to somehow bring the jury into it. Yeah, maybe I even will. At some point today, I'll just get a game over so we can see. Will you please stop muttering things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you are operating on...
Oh, what was the fellow's name now? Hairlich? No, Hairlock? No, Hairlock?
Herlock Sholmes, by any chance?
Yes, good lord, it was that Hairlock fellow.
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see, the fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but...
Yes?
Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting.
The counsel for the defense is correct, as is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the skull...
Oh no, that's me. The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region. Doctor-patient confidentiality. That's a very advanced legal concept. We're still working on perjury. We're working on it. It's swinging back and forth to 10 perjuries is fine to 1 perjury is the death penalty. But once we nail that down, we'll get started on doctor-patient confidentiality. Then exited his body and lodged in the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem 3-dimensionally.
Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him off.
That's dangerous. Don't just, like, do it gently. Like a pancake? You saying you checked his back?
Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all.
He was shot by an ice bullet, and then it melted inside his body. What?
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser, even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery?
Almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. Where's an expert when you need one? Outside of a man, a dog is a bullet's best friend. Inside of a man, it's too dark to read. Therefore, there's no bullets in there. Figured it out. So I'll press again on his if you need to. If I need to. What do you mean you're in for a busy day? Forgot to say. Stop. Do excuse me. Stop. I am a communications officer. Stop. A communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telephone grams? Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital, I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically. To the entire world? Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop. Yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves or the like before, wasn't she? I specialize in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? Alright, let's hear from the ballistics expert. I thought you were just a tourist.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistic expert. Who knew?
I have much experience with guns.
Ah.
I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme and violent baths of, blood of,
extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps, she said, holding up a gun in court.
Those extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue.
Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Crystal Palace. Wait, what do you mean? It definitely says Crystal Tower in the game, not Crystal Palace.
Anyway, if you have any questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know, no mystery I cannot solve.
He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. So we pit him against... We don't have a contradiction or anything, but we're going to pit the two guys against each other. The one saying, I don't know where the bullet is, and the other guy being like, I know everything about every bullet in the world.
But if possible, please, only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? No. Still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Oh, okay, so London has a Crystal Palace. I did not know this. Van Zieks has managed to convince everyone. When you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't. If we're going to fight back, we need more material. And we have to fight back. We have to Gyakten this Saibon again.